What is interesting, I find, is that you cannot even get agreement on what are the facts between the two cases. So I'll give you a simple example. I've spoken to so many people in Europe and the United States. They are absolutely convinced that Xi Jinping was completely duplicitous in promising to demilitarize the South China Sea and then reneged on his promise and went ahead and militarized the South China Sea. I haven't met a single person in the West who doubts this to be the truth. But I discovered, ironically, from a former American ambassador to China, who probably will go down as one of the best ambassadors of the United States ever to China. And some people in Singapore also know him very well because he also was a US ambassador to Singapore. His name is Stapleton Roy.
Qualities all too rare in world history. The gulf between China and the United States in the early 1970s was far greater than it is now.
He actually, as a child, grew up in China, speaks Chinese fluently, understands China very deeply. And when I was doing research for my book, Has China Won?, I had a one-on-one lunch with him in Washington, D.C. And he told me, Kishore, at the meeting between Xi Jinping and Obama raised the subject of South China Sea and said, why are you being so assertive? And Xi Jinping told Obama, okay, if you think this is the problem, why don't both of us agree? We both of us agree to demilitarize the South China Sea, and neither China nor US will set up military facilities in South China Sea. And Stapleton Roy said to me, Kishore, we should have seized that offer and said, good, because what we would have accomplished is we would have got China to demilitarize an area right next to China. This is a gift to the United States. And Stapleton Roy said to me, stupidly, we rebuffed that offer and we stepped up the naval patrols. So instead of Xi Jinping being duplicitous and having reneged on his promise, he actually made an offer that was rebuffed. This is factually true, but completely unknown in the West. And what is for me shocking, I put it at the opening section of a whole chapter. I describe all this in great details, but the Anglo-Saxon media will never tell the alternative story. And one of the things that has become clear to me as I study this US-China contest as deeply as I can, is that the Anglo-Saxon media will tell outright lies, which for many in Singapore is very hard to believe because we have become prisoners of the Anglo-Saxon media, and so we cannot accept the fact that sometimes they're telling outright lies on some issues. And so especially when it comes to South China Sea, we must learn to be very wary of all the facts. So for example, I'll give you another example. They will talk about how much China has claimed land in its features in the South China Sea. But the question is, who started this process? Was it China or was it the other Southeast Asian claimants? And unfortunately, the Southeast Asian claimants started it. So China said, okay, if you do it, I'll do it. Only difference is that, if Malaysia can claim 20 acres, Chinese will claim 2,000 acres. So that's a game, right? So therefore, getting the facts on this case is very, very difficult. So at the end of the day, I think that we have to be very wary of the Western narrative and be clear that clearly what's happening in South China Sea is that we are now becoming sucked into a major geopolitical contest, which, by the way, will accelerate over the next 10 years, and there's absolutely no doubt about that.